is going to be our next element. The pen is not a complex form. I'm going to scoot it over just to remind you that's what it looks like. And I'm going to diverge slightly from the printed instructions. If you've got those, you can follow them absolutely. But there's a couple of steps that, to my way of thinking, are not 100% necessary. And since I'm doing this twice for every object, I want it to be as simple as possible. So I'm going to start with the polygon tool. Polygon is going to be what I need to create my triangle, which is what I have to have. And I'm going to click OK once I get it in here. I'm going to go ahead right now and pick something other than turquoise so that maybe down the road I don't have to change my color as much, but it'll also just make it a little easier to see what I'm working with. I have my triangle, which is my base form for the pen nib, and I'm going to push it in until it is narrower, because the pen nib is a fairly narrow form. Once I've got it, I'm going to do two more fairly quick things. I'm going to turn on, let me see, I'm trying to decide, do I want to use rulers, or I'll show you the non-ruler method here. I'm going to draw two lines. One of the lines is going to be horizontal. I'm holding the shift key down. It's going to go about 1/3 of the way up this pen nib shape. The other one is going to be vertical, and it's going to go straight down the center of this, and both of these are going to be references. They're going to go away when I'm done. I look a little bit like I'm trying to create the Deathly Hallows thing from Harry Potter, but I am not. Okay, so I've got them in position. I'm going to select, and I'm actually going to make the lines that will be going away soon a different color, just because I don't want anybody to get confused about them. I'm going to select my large triangle. I'm going to grab the pen tool. The basic pen tool is fine. But equally well, I could grab the one with the plus sign beside it, because what I'm trying to do is add a couple of points to my triangle. And I want to add them in a really controlled way, because I want to edit them to the point that I can easily move them and keep them symmetrical. I'm going to zoom in on that section of my object so that I really have a large version of it, and I'm going to click on the line that I've drawn right where the green line crosses it. So I'm adding a point to the blue path where the green path crosses over it. And so I've added a new point to the triangle shape on the left and the right in exactly a matching position symmetrically. I'm going to use the line that runs down the center in a similar way. I'm going to use it as a reference. And I'm going to go over about half the distance between it and the bottom corner of my triangle. And I'm going to click there, and I'm going to try to do the same thing on the opposite side. Again, the green line is just my reference. I'm trying about halfway in, and I've added a new point to the left and the right. Okay, having done this, I'm going to come up, I'm going to grab the pen tool with the minus sign beside it, and I'm going to go to the corner, and I'm going to click on the corner point that was originally there. In the bottom left, it's showing me now a pen nib with a minus sign beside it, and I'll do the same thing on the right. And what this has done is it's maintained the bottom line position but reset it effectively, getting me a lot closer to my pen. I sort of have an inverse coffin almost at the moment, but I'm pretty close to where I need to be with my pen nib. I'm going to get rid of the green lines. I don't need them anymore. They were only there as a reference. And I'm pretty close to where the pen nib needs to be. It just needs to go further out. So I'm going to click on the one on the left. I'm going to use the arrow keys on the keyboard and drive it outward. It's a good idea if you count up how far you're going. I didn't do that because I'm tired of recording videos. But anyway, so we get it to about that position. And that's pretty symmetrical. Looks pretty good, pretty consistent with what we need to have here for our shape. We need about 3 more things, and then the pen is done. I need a line that runs vertically that's going to go in the very center of this. This is actually how ink flows in a fountain pen. And it feels like it's not quite centered. I could center the two objects. It's not a bad idea. So I could do a line and center, and it will, let's see, that looks worse. So center it manually or center it using the command. Mine is just apparently so close. It's a smaller amount than the computer is, at this view anyway, able to get me. I'm compulsive, so I'm going to adjust upward and tweak it. See if I can get closer when I'm zoomed in a little bit more. That looks better. Okay, so I've got the line. I'm going to grab an ellipse tool and draw a little teeny circle, and this goes at the bottom of the line. So using a force called capillary action, you dip the pen into ink. You pick it up. The ink flows, stays in here, and it flows down this little line, and you're able to write with the tip of the pen. Just sort of in case you're wondering what all those pieces are. And then the very last element that we need for this is going to be based off of a rectangle. It's going to go at the bottom. We do want to center everything, so you can use the smart guides to tell you when you got this in the right place, and it is. You can use the align function if you need to. And then the very last thing I have to do is move the left and the right hand upper points of this rectangle using the white arrow in until they meet on the left and the right hand side at the base of the nib. And so now this is a completed version. The only thing that I still need to do with this is group it, which is under Object and Group, so that I can easily scale and move it without accidentally messing up the one that's above. And somewhere along the way it looks like my stroke weight was probably when I scaled it. My stroke weight went down a little bit, so I increased it back up to 5. You don't have to do that part, but just know when you scale, very often your stroke weight will be scaled as well. All right, I'm going to come back in a separate video with the third of our icons, which is the little notebook.